This is fun. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to chat about the BMW N54 engine. Now I love the BMW N54 engine because it's so tunable. You can really do basic modifications to the car and it can just take so much more power than what it was initially intended to produce when it came out with a vehicle in stock form. You can literally make up to 400 kilowatt with this car and it will just take it any day of the week. Now, of course, there are common problems that exist with the N54. We'll get into that now, but before we do that, let's just take a quick step back to history to chat about how BMW ended up with the N54 engine. Now, BMW is renowned for making 6-cylinder inline engines, high power engines. They're great engines and they are renowned for making very good, reliable, normally aspirated engines. So the N54 was really a bit of an experiment because BMW, they made turbocharged vehicles in the 70s, in the late 60s, early 70s. So in between that gap and 2006, there was no turbocharged engines from BMW. So the N54 was the first turbocharged mass-produced engine from BMW. And if you're going to do something like that, there will be common problems that exist with the car. And BMW was quite ambitious with this effort. Not only did they make a turbocharged 6-cylinder inline engine, they also made a twin turbo. So the N54 is fitted with 2 turbos. Now there's an array of models that exist that's fitted with the N54 engine. They are the BMW 1 Series, the 3 Series, 5 Series, X6, and of course the Z4 E89. Now that we have the history out of the way, let's jump into the details of the N54. Now the first thing you need to know is that there are 3 different output engines for the N54, and these are really just software tweaks and a little bit of tweaks around the engine that BMW have made to make the power output different. So the base, let's call it the base model, the base engine of the N54 produces 225 kilowatt and 400 newton meters, and then the engine in the middle produces 240 kilowatt and 450 newton meters, and the highest output N54 engine which you can find in the Z4 E89 and also the BMW 1M produces 250 kilowatt and 450 newton meters. Now what's unique with the BMW 1M is that the 1M is pretty much the only BMW M car that does not have an M specific engine. So it's fitted with the BMW N54 engine, and that should really testament and tell you how much confidence BMW has got in the N54 engine that they actually fitted it to the BMW 1M. Now that we've got all of the details out of the way, let's jump into all the things that you need to know that can go wrong on the BMW N54 engine. Point number 1 on our list today, which is also the most common reported problem with the BMW N54 engine, is failure of the high pressure fuel pump. Now BMW, they are well aware of this problem, and in the US they've actually recalled the N54 engine between 2007 and 2010, and they've replaced high pressure fuel pumps on those vehicles at their cost. In South Africa, unfortunately, that did not happen. So if you own a BMW N54 engine, BMW said they are aware that there are many problems with the high pressure fuel pump, but unfortunately you have to suck it up and pay the bill yourself. Replacement cost, you are looking at 8,000 Rand. That would include the high pressure fuel pump and the labor for N54 engine. And the symptoms that you can watch out for is delayed crank. So you're trying to start the car and there's a delay. It sounds like the car is just struggling to start. You can also watch out for the car going into limp mode, or you can also just check if the check engine light is illuminating on the dashboard. Of course, if you have a check engine light on, you can just take it to BMW, let them run a diagnostics on the car and let them just find out exactly what's wrong with the car before you start replacing parts, and it might not even be the high pressure fuel pump that's faulty. Point number 2 on our list today is carbon buildup. Now carbon buildup issues is not unique to the N54 engine, it's unique to all direct injection engines, and the N54 is a direct injection engine, and that simply means that the fuel is sprayed directly inside the combustion chamber. Unlike a port injection engine where you will have the fuel sprayed onto the valves, the fuel actually sprays inside the combustion chamber. Now this is almost like wear and tear. At some point you're just going to have to do a carbon clean, especially if you're buying a high mileage N54. If you're not sure, if you're not aware if the carbon clean has ever been done on the car, trust me, do a carbon clean. The car will drive immediately better, because if you do not know what a car drives like that has been carbon clean, and you just drive your car with a huge amount of carbon buildup in your engine and you're not aware of it, you're just going to think that it's normal. And the car might be sluggish, the car's performance won't be optimal, and that's simply because you have carbon buildup around your valves. Now, this process is not that complicated to get done, to get clean. You can actually just approach a company that specializes in carbon cleaning, and they will clean your valves. So they would literally remove your cylinder head and they will do what's called cleaning, decarbon job on your cylinder head. You are looking at about 3,500 Rand depending on where you go, and that's really just preventative maintenance. So if you're not sure if carbon clean has ever been done on your N54 engine, after you buy the car, just get it done. You'll thank me later. The car will drive much better. Point number 3 on our list today is turbo failure and wastegate rattles. Now, nobody wants a turbo failure because it's a huge job to replace your turbo. Unfortunately, the N54 is not out of the woods when it comes to turbo problems, and there's been 2 crowds reporting turbo failure: highly modified cars and stock cars. And it seems like there is no middle ground for turbo failure. Turbos are failing on stock standard cars, on cars that's modified, and it's just a common problem that have creeped up with the N54 engine. Now, what you can watch out for is obviously lack of boost. The turbos won't be boosting correctly. You can also watch out for black smoke from the back of the car, and you can watch out for a noise, a rattling type of noise. It's coming from the engine, it's coming from the turbo side. If you notice that's any rattling noise developing on the car in the engine compartment, immediately have it checked out. Maybe you can even still save your turbos if it's possible. But the turbo and the wastegate failures on the N54 is extremely common, and if you do notice that there's black smoke or any symptoms that I've just described, have it checked out. Maybe you can even save your turbo, because you really do not want to replace turbos on the N54. It's a huge job just to get to the turbos. That's the hard part. The hard part is not taking the turbos off. The hard part is actually removing all the parts that's needed to get to the turbo. It's very labor intensive and something that you definitely want to avoid. Point number 3 on our list today is water pump failure. Now, the biggest symptom that you will see with this failure is that the car is overheating. That would be a sign that your water pump is either gone or it's on its way out. You should also monitor your coolant level. If you're losing coolant at a fast rate, there's likely a problem with your water pump. And you should also listen to your fan. If your fan is all of a sudden working at times that it didn't work before with your normal commute, there's probably an issue with your water pump developing. So your fan would normally be very, very, very loud, and it would be erratic, and that's type of symptoms you can watch out for with your fan if your water pump is busy going out. Now, unfortunately, the water pump on the N54 engine is not known for lasting that long. So reported lifespan has been between 70 and 80,000 kilometers. So if you plan to buy an N54 powered BMW and you are not sure, or the seller is not sure if the water pump was replaced, you've got no proof, just get it done immediately as preventative maintenance, because then you know after you do it, it's done. You don't need to do the water pump again. Another issue with the water pump is also the thermostat as well. So people that have replaced the water pump have replaced the thermostat. It's just something that you can do while you're there. So if you can, just replace the water pump and the thermostat at the same time, and then you're good for another 80 to 100,000 kilometers. Point number 4 on our list today is the valve cover leaking oil. Symptoms you can watch out for, while there's 2 very obvious ones. You'll smell oil or you'll see oil. So the moment any oil that's leaking gets in contact with a heat component inside the engine, you will smell the burning oil inside the car, and that you should immediately go inspect the valve cover. The gasket would either be shot, or the valve cover can actually crack from the heat inside the engine. Visually, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can inspect the coils, check if there's oil in and around the coils. You can also check the spark plugs, and then of course, if your low engine oil warning light comes on, there's definitely a problem with your oil and that you're losing oil. Luckily, it's not that expensive, it's not that complicated. Replacing the valve cover gasket is quite simple, and it's just really a wear and tear component that you need to be aware of and that you need to watch out for. Not really something you need to do as preventative maintenance, but something you need to be aware of, definitely. Point number 5 on our list today, which is also the last one, is the fuel injectors. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the design of the N54 engine utilizes direct injection, so fuel is being sprayed directly inside the combustion chamber, and over time you can build up carbon around the fuel injectors as well. Symptoms you can watch out for is struggling to cold start, and you can also have a misfire on cold start, and you can also have misfires while you're driving. That's all related to fuel not being delivered. The spray of the fuel is actually what's being affected, because if you have carbon buildup around the fuel injector, it would affect the spray of the fuel inside the combustion chamber, and that spray is not optimal, and that's the reason why you have fuel starvation in the car, because the amount of fuel that the car requires is not coming through. Unfortunately, fuel injector replacement is not cheap. You are looking between 3,000 and 4,000 rand to replace per injector. So if you see any symptoms developing, have the injectors checked out immediately. Maybe you can still clean the injectors and you don't have to replace them, but it's definitely something that you need to be aware of, and something that's quite expensive if you do need to fix it. That's it. That's the list of 5 common problems that exist with the BMW N54 engine. We hope you've enjoyed today's video. We've actually made another video where we do a review of the BMW E93 where we drive the car quite reasonably throughout the rev range, so that you can actually hear what the car sounds like and what a healthy N54 should sound like. And if you are looking to buy a BMW, if you are looking for a used BMW that's fitted with the N54 engine, be sure to check out our website, wheelindex.co.za. My name is Kurt. Catch you back next time. Cheers.